Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we're going to be doing a water decal and crystal nail design. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now before jumping into the design, I just wanted to show you two more new launches from Kiki London. These did actually launch last week with the water decals, but I thought I would show them in today's video. So first up we have the new dotting slash gem tool. I will be using this further along in the video, but I wanted to show you it guys at the start of it because it's so beautiful. I love the matte black effect to it. It has a really professional looking finish, and then as you can see you've got your dotting tool on one end and then your wax end on the other end, so that helps you pick up your crystals, and you can also use that dotting end to help you move your crystals around into place, which I will show you further along in the video. Next up we have the nail art brush case. Again, I really love the professional black finish to this, but let's take a look at the actual bag. So it unzips really easily, and then inside you've got all of the slots for your brushes. So I personally as well, I'm going to keep some of my tools in here as well. So like the dotting tool, the new silicone tool, maybe even some of my prep tools as well, so they're all to hand, but it is mainly for your brushes. As you can see, they pop in there perfectly. This is going to be such a fab addition to your kit, especially if you are a mobile tech, because it will keep all of your brushes together and keep them nicely protected when you are traveling to your clients. As you can see, the brushes slot in and fit in perfectly. You've got some pockets there as well. You could also pop some little bits into if you wanted to. Here I'm just slotting in the new nail art tool just so that everything is kept nicely together, and this is how I'm going to store my brushes from now on because I'm really loving the brush case. So then as you can see, it closes nicely and you're able to zip it all up. It's got a really easy carry handle as well, which will come in handy again if you're mobile or even if you are working in a salon. I do find it better to have my brushes stored in a nice case. I kind of prefer it to having them in pots on my desk because I find they can get dirty, get grubby, dusty and things like that, so it is nice to store them away. Now both of these items are up on the Kiki London website, which is always listed in the description box below, so do check that out. But let's move on to today's set of nails. So I'm going to be using two of the new water decal packs. These are the ones that I went for, and I'm going to be teaming them with a couple of gel polish colours of course. So here we have the gorgeous blush. I really love this nude and it's one that I don't use enough, so I definitely had to get this one in a set. Then we have Holiday Blues, which is from the new Neon Pastel collection. Just how gorgeous is this blue? It screams holidays to me. Then as well as that, I'm also going to be using Coconut. Now Coconut is such a crisp, highly pigmented white, so it's great as a base for your water decals. Now I have my display tips ready to go, and I'm going to come in on the pointer finger and use blush. So I'm applying a really thin first coat of gel polish. I'm not worrying if there's not too much pigmentation or if the colour is looking opaque at this point. I'm just getting a nice thin coat down. A lot of the Kiki London polishes do only require 2 coats of colour, so I know that I'm going to get the full coverage when it comes to applying that second coat, but I do find that gel polish always works best in thin coats. So I like to keep that first coat nice and thin. I've then done a Coconut on the middle finger, and we're coming in with Holiday Blues on the ring finger, and then I'm going to finish up with blush again on the little finger. So you'll see I don't take too much polish onto my brush to start off with. I just have a little bit amount on there. I do find that the gel polishes are a lot easier to control if you make sure you haven't got your brush loaded up with too much. The more polish that's on your bottle brush, the harder it can be to control. So that's that first coat applied. I'm going to pop them in to cure for 30 seconds, and we're then going to come on and apply our second coat of colour. So again, this is where you're going to get your true coverage. You may find with certain coats, the colours, that you want to come in with a third coat, but I don't personally find it with too many of the Kiki London ones. All of the colours I'm using here, I'm just going to use 2 coats of colour. And just how gorgeous does blush look? It's definitely becoming my sort of favourite nude now we're coming towards the end of summer, because I feel like it could be a really nice nude to take us into the autumn nails. Now with coconut, because it's a very pigmented white, I do find I still like to apply in 2 coats, but because of how pigmented it is, I do like to make sure those coats are nice and thin. Otherwise, you can find with highly pigmented colours, if you apply them too thickly, they may wrinkle or bubble when you pop them in your lamp. So if you do get any wrinkling or bubbling, the first thing I would advise trying is applying it in a thinner coat to see if that helps. Here on my second coat of Holiday Blues, I just had a little hair stuck in that gel polish. You want to make sure you remove this before popping your nails into cure. Otherwise, you're going to set that piece of hair or fluff, whatever it is, into place. So I just took my angled nail art brush, removed that, and then smoothed out the gel polish with a little bit more of Holiday Blues. Then we're going to apply that second coat of blush, and these are also ready to go in for their second and final cure. And then that's our bases done, and we're ready to move on to the fun part, which is the nail art. And just how gorgeous do these colours look together. If I was doing this as a set on myself or a client, I would have done the Holiday Blues on the thumbnail as well. Moving on to the nail art, I'm going to take my stripe liner brush, and then on my palette I've got a small amount of coconut, and then I've also got one of the Kiki London alcohol wipes. I've got that there just so I can wipe my brush onto it if I need to clean it off at any point through the design. Then on this now, I'm just going to draw off a section on the nail. I'm seeing this design or this style of nail art on Instagram a lot, so I really wanted to give it a go. So I've drawn a curve line like as though I was going to do a French nail, but rather than taking it across the entire nail, we're just going to do half of the nail. So I've painted that on with my stripe liner brush, got it as neat as I can, and then I've coloured it in with the bottle brush. I'm then going to switch to my angled brush, wipe it on to my alcohol pad just to moisten it slightly with the alcohol, and then I'm going to use the angled brush and the alcohol just to neaten up this line, just to get it that little bit more sharper and crisp. Now, of course, if you've got a really steady hand, you're able to do this with the stripe liner brush, and sometimes I can, but if I ever find that I'm not 100% happy with my lines, I will come in with the angled nail art brush, and I find that that really helps give you a super crisp line. Just going to neaten it up slightly if needed with the stripe liner brush again, and then once I'm happy with it and finished faffing around, I'll pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And then because I really wanted this white to pop, I'm going to come in and do a second coat. This white section here is going to be the base for our decal, so I want to make sure I've got a nice smooth bright background. So again, I'm starting off with the stripe liner brush, and I'm really taking a small amount of gel polish at a time on the brush because I find that way it's a little bit easier to work with. Again, the less product you've got on the brush, sometimes the easier it is to control that product. Then to colour it in, I'm just painting it on with my bottle brush. And again, I'm going to come in and clean up just a little bit with that angled nail art brush just to help get that really crisp line. It's a lot easier when you're doing the second coat. So now we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds, and off camera I did that on both nails. So I've done this on the pointer and the little finger, as you can see, on opposite sides. Then I'm going to be using these water decals. So I'm going to cut out some of the smaller blue flowers. Now, when it comes to cutting out the water decals, you want to cut as close to the image as possible. So you don't want to have too much of that white backing paper, as it's going to look clear on the nail anyway, but the less you've got there, the more seamless it's going to apply to your gel polish. So as you can see, I've cut as close to that as possible. And then again, off camera, I've cut out the rest of those. Now I'm going to be applying my water decals today using the jelly stamper method, but I'm also going to be using the new Kiki London Silicone Tool to help smooth them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my water decals, place it face down onto my jelly stamper, and then using my angled nail art brush, I'm going to dampen the back of that water decal, and then I'm going to leave it to sit for around 10-15 seconds. I have sped up the video, but I did leave it to wait before then gently sliding off the backing paper from the water decal. Now there are other ways to apply water decals, and if you check out the previous video on the Kiki London channel, I did show I think 2 other ways, sorry, including the jelly stamper way. It would have been 3 ways to apply them. So if you don't necessarily want to apply them this way, or you don't have a jelly stamper, then do check out that video. But I have lately been finding that this is the easiest way to apply your water decals. So once you have got the water decal down on your stamper and you've removed the backing paper, I like to just press it down where I want it to be and then just give the jelly stamper a little wriggle. And then if needed, I just smooth them out using the silicone tool. I do find that applying them with the jelly stamper, I don't really have any bubbles or creases to smooth out, but I do like to just rub over them gently just to make sure they've fully adhered to the nail. So we're going to do exactly the same again on this now, always making sure that you apply that water decal face down onto the stamper. And then on this time, I'm going to apply both of them just for quickness, because again, if you were doing this set of nails in a salon, you want to try and work as quick as you can. So whilst that second water decal has the water soaking in to remove the backing paper, I can place this one down. If you are doing it this way, just make sure that you place your water decals on opposite sides of the stamper so you've got enough room to place that first one down. Give it a firm little press and a little wriggle, and it gently, as you can see, transfers from the stamper onto the nail. If you do get any creases, you can be a little bit firm with your silicone tool to get them out, but I always prefer to be as gentle as I can because you don't want to damage or break that water decal. Now here I have a little bit of overhang where the flower is slightly off the nail, so I just trimmed it and then filed it because you want to make sure it's flush to your sidewall so that you can seal it in with your top coat. Now that we've got our water decals down, I wanted to give the dotting tool a try. So I'm using the silver end of the dotting / gem tool. I'm going to dot it into my holiday blues and then simply place some little dots along the curve there, just to add a little pop of colour again to the nail. And I felt as though holiday blues tied in beautifully with these blue floral decals, and it just adds a little bit more fun to the nails. Dotting tools are amazing. They're such a great fun way to add simple nail designs. There's so many ideas if you take a look on Instagram or Pinterest. Now, whilst those dots are curing, I'm going to take one of the Kiki London alcohol pads and make sure to clean off the end of the dotting tool. You don't want to leave any gel polish on there because it will end up curing or getting stuck and just leaving your end of your dotting tool mucky. So really make sure to clean off any gel polish after each colour or after each use. Then we're going to move on to the next nail in our design, and for this one I wanted to use some of the leaves from this nail. I loved the look of these tropical ones, so I picked out 4, cut them all out, like I said again, close to the image as possible, and I'm applying them exactly the same way as we applied our flowers. So I'm placing that water decal face down onto my jelly stamper and then damping in the back of it with some water. Now you don't need loads of water, but if like this one you find that the backing paper isn't removing from your image, it means you haven't dampened it enough. So I applied a little bit more water and then it slid off perfectly. And I love this way of applying them because you do have more control over how much water you apply, and it's better to apply little than too much, if that makes sense, because the more water you've got on the water decal, the longer it takes to evaporate and dry, and you do need the water to be fully dry from your water decals before you seal them in with your gel top coat. So I do like to apply a little bit, and most of the time a little bit will be enough, but if that backing paper doesn't slide off easily, you can just come in and add a little bit more water. And then I'm just going to press these leaves down, 2 up, in the cuticle area, and then 2 up at the tip of the nail. Now with these, I wanted them to overlap slightly, so I'm spending a little bit more time smoothing them out with my silicone tool. So you can overlap your water decals to create different effects and different designs, but do just spend a little bit more time to smooth out any of the creases and make sure both of the water decals are lying super flat. Here, as you can see, I just pulled that decal torn just to help get a crease that was out in the center of it. It just helped pull it nice and flat against the nail. Now, when you are applying your water decals, it's a lot easier to apply them over the tacky layer that your gel polish leaves behind. So don't wipe off that tacky inhibition layer. Apply your water decals straight over the top of your cured gel polish. Your inhibition layer gives them something to help really stick and grab onto. And then once again, I'm just smoothing this one out using the silicone tool, and look how flat and seamless these applied. I have no air bubbles, no creasing. They applied absolutely amazing. So do check out the water decals if you haven't already. Now we're going to move on to applying the crystals. So I'm loving using my trusty no wipe rubber top coat to apply my crystals, and the crystal tool definitely made them a lot easier to apply as well. So I'm going to come in and apply a coat of the no wipe rubber top coat, and I'm going to leave this wet. We're then going to stick our crystals down into that wet top coat, and then once we're happy with how they're placed, we'll pop them in to cure. Now I love applying crystals this way because it gives you plenty of play time to move them around without worrying about them drying or setting in place, because they're not going to stick until you pop this now into your light to cure. So as you can see, I'm using the wax end of the dotting tool to pick up my crystals, and then I'm using the metal end to push them and move them around into place. And it makes crystal placements so much easier having the thin end of this tool, because you're really able to get those crystals where you want them to be. So I'm just doing a simple crystal trail going across the nail. I went for some opals, some ABs and some blue crystals, just to sort of give it a little pop of colour and to show you guys how well the crystal tool works. The wax end was really nice at picking up crystals. Some tools I found in the past, the wax ends are too hard, so it can be tricky getting your crystals to transfer from the tool to the nail, but I didn't have no problems with the Kiki London one. Once I was happy with roughly how those crystals were placed, I'm going to come in and apply some caviar beads, just because I find they really help bulk out a crystal trail and help make it look a lot more sparkly. So once I was happy with how all of those crystals were placed, I'm going to pop them into cure for 60 seconds. And then whilst they are curing, I'm going to come in and top coat the rest of the nails, because we won't have to re-top coat the crystal nail because we had already applied that layer of rubber top coat. So I'm sticking with the rubber top coat to encapsulate the water decals on these nails. I find the rubber top coat is my go-to top coat a lot of the time, especially if I've done any kind of nail art, just because it's that little bit thicker, so it seals everything in and leaves you with a super smooth high shine finish. So I like to really work the top coat when I'm applying it, so I will go over it a few times just to make sure it gets all around those decals and just seals everything in beautifully. Now the no wipe rubber top coat does require a 60-second cure, so do make sure that you're curing it for a full 60 seconds. And then once these nails are cured, we're ready to take a look at the final result. And I absolutely love them. I'm really loving how well the holiday blues worked with those blue water decals, and then the pop of crystals just really made it a beautiful set. It's definitely a set I would wear myself. But of course, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up or pop a comment below. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would absolutely love it if you did. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a lovely weekend. Lots of love. Bye bye.